This week on Rock and Roll Grad School, we talk with singer April March. She has a new album, Incinerama, available from Omnivore Records. That's Rock and Roll Grad School, available wherever you get your podcasts, rockandrollgradschool.com.
Y is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Here's what I wanted to ask you. So I was rewatching recently Mulholland Falls with Nick Nolte.
Mm-hmm.
You familiar with the film?
I am. I have seen it.
One, it's based on the true story of the Hat Squad, a group of detectives in LA, which has got to be the stupidest name for the coolest group of detectives.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And they keep making Hat Squad movies, and it's not really catching on.
Why? That's why.
Right. So watching the film, and one of the key plot points is that they are blackmailing Detective Nick Nolte because they have him on footage having sex with Jennifer Connelly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a huge crisis for the film, as one would assume it would be.
Well, not that anyone would have sex with Jennifer Connelly, just the footage of the...
Yes, exactly. No. And that was my question.
Yes.
From Nick Nolte, his character side of the thing, I'm like, I get this. This makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
From her side of it, is Nick Nolte sexy? I guess that's what it boils down to.
Okay, that era Nick Nolte was not too bad. He had some sex appeal. So Prince of Tides, Nick Nolte.
Sure. Okay. Right.
Very sexy.
All right. Okay.
Recent years, Nick Nolte.
My point exactly.
Not so good.
Okay. So he was on the decline, but still on the...
Right. He was still kind of...
He was still there.
Right.
Okay.
Like Val Kilmer, to me, still sexy.
Now?
Yeah.
All right.
But it might be because I read his book and I loved him so much in his book watched his documentary, and everything he's going through. I still love him.
Right. Okay.
But the problem with Nick is he's got that legendary mugshot that's sometimes all I can see now. So I can't remember the sexy as well.
Yeah. So that was because I was just watching it being like, I don't know if I buy this from her side of things. Because there's also footage of her and John Malkovich, which again, I get that.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
Creepiest thing I ever saw in person was John Malkovich calling his kids to say he was not going to be there to meet them at the bus.
Oh, that's amazing.
It was so weirded out. I was just like, oh, this is icky.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
You were a murderer in a murder mystery. Sorry, a Zoom murder mystery.
But I want to tell you first about the trauma that happened to me.
That's right.
It ties into Nick Nolte getting old.
Okay, so for our listeners, you're getting old.
I am getting old.
Okay.
Because first of all, I think we've already told our listeners this. One of the most traumatic things for my psyche was when I was 37 and I read and learned that Anne Bancroft was younger than me when she played Mrs. Robinson.
Right. You consider yourself a Mrs. Robinson type?
Oh, I'm sure I probably would be.
Yeah.
But and I always knew that she and Dustin were the same age, but the mere fact that she was the ultimate, whatever older woman did not bode well in your mid-30s.
Gotcha. Sure.
Thought that was the biggest trauma that was ever going to happen until I went and saw the 50th anniversary of The Godfather on Sunday.
Ah, okay.
And then trying to remember who, seeing little baby Sophia and all those things and everybody and how Al looks nothing like Al and it's so crazy and whatever.
Sure.
And then you go, well, how old was Brando in that movie?
I don't want to know this. I don't want to know this answer.
Yeah, this is going to be painful for you too. I am 46. Marlon Brando, 46. 46. Really? I just can't.
If I may, I would say I think you pull off 46 better than he does or did.
No, I thank you. And I appreciate that. And I'm glad this is recorded because again, it's one of the few times that you'll say something.
Why don't you put the orange peel in your upper lip, and we'll see. We
We'll
can
see
kind
what
of compare and
happens.
contrast. Yeah,
I know. And
interesting.
it shocked me.
But the thing I will say, as someone who watches a lot of older films,
I do too.
reads and listens to a lot of things about older films,
I do too.
I think, I mean, similar to the fact that, George hadn't turned 30 when the Beatles broke up, which is
I know.
mind-boggling.
It is.
But then also, I believe Sean Connery was 37 in his last official Bond film in the
Right.
early 70s. 37 then is not 37 now.
No, I do agree with this. And I do agree, like, I mean, when you look at like the Golden Girls, right? Like
Sure.
there's all these memes now comparing them, and then they like compare them with like Demi Moore and Salma Hayek, and they're all in the same age group.
Right.
But all of that. But what makes it hard, even with all of this knowledge and knowing it's a film and knowing there's makeup and knowing it was a different era, it's just really hard when the thing you look up is your exact age and it's not great. It's just not great.
Fair. Okay, I see that.
Or maybe it does make you feel better. Maybe I should feel like, well, I look pretty awesome.
I think so. I don't know if you follow on Twitter the Cocoon Brimley line.
No, but I should.
So this is an account, as its name would suggest.
Yes.
Tweets out photos of actors the day that they are the same age as Wilford Brimley was when Cocoon began shooting.
I have
seen
movies.
Let's be honest, Matthew Modine pulls it off a little better than Wilford Brimley did at that time.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So it's just that constant reminder of, okay, well, again, Wilford Brimley's his own special thing. And again, the ages are a little bit different than they are then.
True. It's true.
Yes.
But still.
I got you. Now let's talk about you murdering people.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So you murdered people.
I did. I also won Best Costume.
I would expect nothing less.
I know.
Did you go with the fur?
I didn't. I actually, I felt very Veruca. I felt like I was channeling our good friend, Julie, because I was a mini dress designer. That was my role, the younger stepmother,
By mini, you mean length of the dress, not size of the
Yes.
dress. Okay.
Well, one is kind of the same, right?
Well, I just picture very small hangers.
It wasn't
This
for
is
mice.
what I'm saying.
It wasn't
Okay.
a dress for mice.
That was
but
my
it was
question.
very
Yep.
short.
Okay.
I had like a black and white big polka dot mini dress with a little Peter Pan collar and cuffs, and my white boots, and a headband, headscarf, and like Cleopatra eyes. It was fantastic.
It sounds like
But-
you're describing Little Edie, which I don't think you meant to.
Well, it wasn't that
Oh?
kind of headscarf.
Okay.
I thought you were going to go Edie Sedgwick, but thanks for going to
nope.
Little Edie. That makes far more sense.
Continue.
I mean, I definitely will Grey Gardens at some point. That is only a matter of time.
Oh no, you will be feeding
It's-
raccoons with Nina
It's
sooner
coming.
rather than later. Yeah.
It is definitely coming. When the shit really hits the fan, that is where you will find me.
Yes, up in the attic.
Captain will have his own little headscarf. It'll be great. Yes.
Perfect.
Flipping it. Yes. So no, I did. It was a Zoom murder mystery, which is odd,
Mm-hmm.
but it weirdly went far better than I thought, because it did get too long at some point,
Right, like any Zoom call.
and like any murder mystery.
I have actually never participated in one as an adult.
So
And
I've been paid to be in them.
Oh, I
many
know.
times.
Right. Yes.
And I've done it voluntarily. They're always too long. They always hit a point where everybody said everything they need to say, and then for some reason everyone has to say it again and accuse everybody, and nobody cares because everyone's already been saying it all the way along, and you feel like, why did we do this? This was a terrible idea. This is so dumb. But then all of a sudden you find out who actually did it, and then everybody's happy again, and they like love each other, and it was such a fun time, because it was up until that point.
Right.
But the way this like Zoom murder mystery writer wrote the parts, for some of the parts, there was a part that my aunt played and a part that a friend of my other aunt played, that they were like the staff at like my house. And one was like the chef and one was the chauffeur, maybe. They were
Right. And you didn't get off on that at all, right?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Yeah.
No. And I think this actually was a British murder mystery because which I didn't say anywhere until you started reading through it. And I was supposedly, one of my alibis was that this is so dead on. The typecasting was unreal. That I went shopping and the only thing that doesn't track was that I told the Lyft operator that I needed to go get tea and scones. Now take the Lyft out of there, that's totally me. But and there were certain words that people didn't know what they were, but they were. So anyway, but the two staff
aluminium
people,
was that one of the words?
yes, aluminium. Yeah. So but the staff, they were psycho. Like every line that and this was as it was written, not ad-libbed. We could they were reading the script. It was like, people who lie get hurt. And then they were supposed to each had a weapon and they had to wave the weapon at the screen. Every time.
They're not wrong.
I know, but it would be like, people get punished for acting out. Like it was crazy.
It was either crazy or, if you ask some of our previous guests, a huge turn on.
Well, so it could be both.
That's true. Yeah.
Everybody wins.
Right. No, the edge of fear can be.
Yes. And my uncle, my aunt and uncle, my aunt whose birthday it was, my aunt and uncle, their characters they ran a commune where like 11 hippies were buried on the commune and murdered. Like there was all kinds of dark stuff. But what's cool is my uncle's outfit. He actually used to wear when he lived on a commune in the 60s.
I'm assuming this is the uncle who currently usually wears a cow costume.
No, not at all.
Wow, curveball. Did not see that one coming.
These are my Colorado relatives.
Wow. All right. What is the history of hot springs or the idea of hot springs in Arkansas? That it's been coming up out of the ground for a few years now, correct?
Yes, and I actually have stats on that.
Oh, perfect.
I came prepared.
Yeah, you're more prepared than we normally are, so this is perfect. At least one of us is.
It comes up about 700,000 gallons a day.
That's crazy.
What the springs produce. It takes about, I want to say 4,400 years to get to us.
Okay.
It's rainwater that falls and then it goes down into the earth and then comes back up.
4,400 years later. Okay.
Yeah, 44. It takes 4,400 years to travel roughly 6,000 feet deep into the earth before re-emerging at more than 40 hot springs in the area.
And the actual spring itself, is it a crack in the ground that water is shooting out? Is like somebody broke a fire hydrant, like a water main? And
no, most of the springs are actually capped off.
Okay.
To where you can't really, there's certain places that you can see them. But I'm not aware of anywhere it's just shooting out of the ground.
Okay, so it's not like a Beverly Hillbillies type.
No.
You don't have hot water derricks going all hours of the day and night.
No.
And so when did that area become a health resort?
We were the first nationally protected area.
Really? Hot Springs, Arkansas was that region? Huh.
Yeah, here I can tell you.
I'm assuming the fact that a president liked to hang out there didn't hurt business, or when these springs got protected versus other things in the country.
Right.
Right.
In 1804, President Jefferson commissioned the first exploration of the hot springs of the Washitas.
Huh.
And then in 1832, Congress passed legislation to set aside the hot springs as a hot springs reservation. So we were one of the first federally protected tracts of land in the nation.
Because when I think of hot springs, I think of Roosevelt. I think of guys in red and white striped one-piece suits that go up over the shoulders, have the mustache, and they ride up on those bikes with the really big front wheel and the really small back wheel.
Right.
But this was happening a while before those guys came to town.
The Indians came here.
And now, what are the health benefits of the springs?
We cannot claim that there are, because nothing's ever been proven scientifically. Nowadays, it's mostly used for relaxation. But before, people came here with prescriptions from their doctors for everything from muscle injuries to syphilis.
Wow, it was syphilis, huh? I didn't think warm water would get rid of that. It probably doesn't.
It didn't.
That's got to be disappointing. Buckstaff Bathhouse is one of how many are there in Hot Springs?
There are 10. We're on what's called Bathhouse Row. And on the row, there are, I believe, 10 bathhouses. And there's 2 of us that actually still operate as bathhouses. There's us. We've been open since 1912. We've never closed. And we still do the traditional style bathing. And then there is Quapaw Bathhouse, and they do the more modern style bathing.
What is that difference between modern and traditional?
Quapaw
Is it
Bathhouse,
the bathing suits, red and white stripes, barbells that say 100 pounds on each one?
Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah.
Quapaw Bathhouse has pools. They're set up more as a day spa. They do also have some individual tubs for individual bathing, but they're known mostly for their pools. And they have different temperature pools that you can go to. Swimsuits are required there. Here, we have individual bathtubs. Our bath is actually a process. You do the mineral water bath, hot packs, which are towels soaked in the hot mineral water, a steam cabinet, sitz bath, and then a cooling shower, which is a needle shower.
You've dropped a few phrases there that I have a lot of questions about.
Sure.
So to go back through the process one at a time. So mineral bath, does that bubble? Is that like?
It's in a bath. It's in a bathtub.
Okay.
We have the individual tubs. They're 90-gallon clawfoot tubs, and each bathtub has a whirlpool inside of it.
Okay, and so the water for the mineral side that comes from the hot springs and gets circulated in the tub.
We pipe it in.
Okay, and then up next is the wrapping in the hot towels that also come from. And so, what do you lay on? Are you on a bench, bed, cold
you're
marble?
on a kind of like a little cot table. We call them cooling tables. And there's a mat on it, and they put the hot towels on your back, arms, and legs. And then the women's floor, they pamper a little bit more. They usually put a cold towel on their face as well.
Oh, that's nice. Do the guys get like cucumber water, anything?
They still get the same service. They just usually don't like the cold towel on their face.
Well, agree to disagree.
You guys are wimpy.
Yeah. So, sorry, 1 second. Warren, can you please ask our other co-host to leave?
Yes.
And then after that's the steam cabinet, you said?
It's like a sauna. that you sit in. There's an old I Love Lucy episode.
Yeah, that's immediately where I went.
Yep. She's sitting in one, her head's sticking out the top, and she's got a cigar hanging out of her mouth. And it's exactly like that.
Without the cigars.
Yeah, without the cigar.
You get to do all of these things in order, or are these various, just you pick one?
No, this is all part of the process that we do for the bath.
Why aren't we doing this interview in person?
We really should be. I would feel awkward trying to conduct an interview in a steam cabinet.
I would be perfectly comfortable.
I just feel like I'd be talking with my hands and nobody would see it. And it'd
be nice for you to keep your hands, at your sides for a little bit.
That's true. So, but this whole process, is this all done in one room? Are you walking around the floor? You said they're gendered floors.
It is. Men are on the first floor with all male attendants. Ladies are on the second floor with all female attendants. It's one big general room, and the tubs are sectioned off so that nobody sees you while you're in the tub except for your bath attendant. And then other than that, it's all in one big general area, and they wrap you up in a sheet in between.
Okay, so when you started describing this, I was picturing like that Cialis commercial where there's just tubs next to each other out on a mountaintop overlooking the valley, but they're individual. So I'm assuming you were nude for this whole process, which is why you have the. Okay.
Yeah, most people do go nude. Like I said, it's all done individually, and they wrap you up in a sheet in between services. But if you want to wear a swimsuit and you're more comfortable that way, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Why pick this experience over just going to a random spa for a massage?
If you want to experience the traditional style, that we're the place you want to come to. We do it pretty much the same way we did when we opened in 1912.
That's awesome.
And the water is 4,400 years old.
Absolutely.
Which has to be good for you. It has to be.
Who knows? I mean, would water, if somebody 4,400 years from now went to this and got water that we were mucking about in, I don't know if it's going to have the same experience.
Well, that's because we would have mucked about in it.
That's exactly.
We also have fountains that you can fill up your jugs and fill them up with the thermal water and drink it. And it's supposed to be really good for you.
Okay. Well, that's something.
That's really cool.
Now, we got off the order here. So you're in your steam box, which sounds like someone's going to be, that sounds like a warming table for like a restaurant. And then is it after the steam box is the needle shower?
You do a sitz bath.
Okay. And that consists of?
It looks kind of like a sink that you sit in.
Okay. Like kitchen sink or?
Yeah, women used to use them after giving birth, especially because it helps that general area. But we say that it helps anything from your lower back to the back of your knees.
That's awesome.
And then we get to the needle shower.
Which is it's a shower that you're surrounded by very small shower heads. And many years ago, before mineral buildup, they were really high pressured showers, which is where the term needle shower came from. It felt like you were that tingly feeling. It felt like that, and they're not quite as high pressured nowadays, just due to mineral buildup over the 110 years we've been open, but they're still really nice.
So in the history of the 110 years, has anyone kind of raised their hands at a meeting and been like, can we change needle shower? There's got to be a better way to sell that to somebody.
I usually call it a cooling shower.
There you go.
Yeah,
see
that
that sounds a lot better. And how long does this whole process take?
About 45 minutes to an hour. And then we also offer a package that you can follow all of that with a 20-minute full body Swedish massage.
Oh my gosh.
And that package takes about an hour and a half.
I want to do all of this. I want to be doing this all right now. I don't want to be talking to either of you. I want to be actually experiencing it. No offense to either of you. I just want to be there. How did it begin? When did they decide to turn the 112 years ago to turn it into an actual place for people to come and experience these actual treatments?
Well, Native Americans were coming here for years before they were actually houses, when they were just kind of springs in the ground. And honestly, I'm not too sure how it started that they turned them into bathhouses. My guess, somebody decided they could make money off of it.
I think that you're probably absolutely right. Saw like, oh, this is interesting. This is working for them. It could work for everybody else. Capitalize on it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I didn't come with that stat. Not as prepared as I thought.
Oh no, well, you're totally fine.
Yeah, you're more prepared than us. Let's just own that. So has the massage side of things always been part of the treatment there? And does the treatment in the 20s and 30s, was that always 45 minutes, or would people kind of make a day out of it? And I guess it'd be weird to bring a sandwich. It'd be soggy.
Well, yeah, back then we had there was a gym up on the 3rd floor. And so when there was a writing room, so you could sit up here and write your letters. There was you could go out on the roof and sit. So yeah, people would spend their days here before. It's not like that now. You can't go out on the roof anymore. The 3rd floor is now our cosmetology department and managers' offices. So yeah, that part has definitely changed.
Awesome. It's interesting. How far do people come from all over the world to visit?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think we've had people from I don't think there's any place that we haven't had somebody come from.
Antarctica?
Oh, I'm sure.
Don't try to stump her. That's not
all I was thinking was she has us beat. No, I'm like, she has us beat because we've had listeners all over the world, all the continents, but no one from Antarctica. So I was going to ask, I knew you were going to say yes. I was going to ask your secret and how do we tap into it? We need some natural minerals and water and wonderful
you need some really hot water.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Does the treatment, does that come with a robe, or do you have to bring your own robe?
We use sheets. We wrap you up in a sheet toga style. So we don't use robes.
Okay.
I don't know. I might be willing to sacrifice a robe for a toga. Toga's pretty awesome.
Well, especially if you're dealing with someone who knows what they're doing, toga-wise. You know, you don't want a college student wrapping you.
No, you don't.
Yeah. So one thing, do you guys play music throughout the whole process? Is it a lot of like Enya?
No, now the massage therapist will sometimes play some music, and the cosmetologist, when she does facials, she'll play music, but not during the baths.
And then I always wonder, because how often do you or the other employees avail themselves of this amazing process and feature?
There are some employees that stay and take a bath during their lunch break every single day. A lot of employees don't, just because we're here all day, and when we get off work, we don't want to be here.
Yeah, you want to leave work at work.
Right. And also, we don't really want to get naked in front of all of our coworkers. So
fair. Completely fair.
We've all done the process. We all enjoy it.
And as a native hot springer yourself, have you tried all the bathhouses?
I have not been to the Quapaw yet, but I have tried the Arlington. There was another spa inside of one of the hotels that's closed now. And then I've tried it here at the Buckstaff.
And obviously, we're not going to ask you to slander any one of them or your own employer, but you guys are the best, right? Just hold
Absolutely.
up wave a hand in the camera if not. But
we are absolutely the best.
for more information and to plan your visit to the Buckstaff Bathhouse, check out their website, buckstaffbaths.com.
You can check us out on all the various socials. Be sure to visit our website and don't forget to leave us a review.
Today's show is produced by myself and Heidi Hedquist. Our reluctant producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?